everybody, and welcome to another episode of Cinema Heroes. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
I'm Alex Thomas.
And today we're talking about the top 10 comic book movie or TV show castings. This was a suggestion from a listener named Simon Graff. So thank you, Simon, for suggesting this. This was a great idea.
Shout out, Simon.
And this was a struggle for me. It was very difficult to narrow it down to just 10.
Yeah.
And I even texted Stu earlier today and said, we should really do maybe a DC list and a Marvel list. And he was like, no, this should be hard.
No, definitely not.
So we're sticking with it. So yeah, I mean, is there anything you guys want to say before we get started? Or
we do have a couple rules. I hit up Justin and Alex and said, we got to have a couple rules to make these lists. So it's only 2: live action only.
Yeah, it threw me off.
And one version of the character in your top 10. Your honorable mentions can have as many versions of the character as you want. But yeah, you can't have 4 Supermen in your top 10.
Right. 5 Batman.
5 Batman.
Just a list of Batman and Superman actors.
Right. And you kind of threw me off with the animated one because I was thinking like, oh, Kevin Conroy as Batman. That's what I was thinking of too. I'm like, well, yeah, that's animated,
Yeah, because I had already put one Batman on my list, and I was getting ready to put another one on there, and then I thought of Kevin Conroy. I was like, I gotta make a rule, because half my list is gonna be Batman.
Yeah. Now you had to pick which one you actually wanted to put on the list, which. I guess I kind of feel like I don't know if we're all going to have the same one, but I guess we'll see when we get there. But
I guess, yeah, we'll see. We definitely all have a Batman on there for sure.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
All right. Well, Alex, you're our guest. Why don't you start us off with your number 10?
All right. My number 10 will be Anthony Starr as Homelander from The Boys.
Nice.
Now,
wow.
I was gonna say I probably have one on my list that none of you guys probably thought of. But
I did not think of that.
Yes, I thought about him because I was obviously season 4 just ended, and I thought about the last four seasons. This actor has been incredible as this character. When I mean you sympathize with him, but also feel afraid of him at the same time. It's insane. And if you see the actor outside of Homelander, he's nothing like his character. So I had to give it to him. So far he is, and think about it, the show came out, 2019. And, he feels more relevant to any comic book character I've seen in a long time. And the show alone, The Boys, if you guys have not checked out The Boys, definitely check it out. It's a great satire on superheroes if they existed in the real life world. And he's basically like a Superman character, basically. And, He's amazing as the character. He's great.
That's a great choice. I didn't even think about The Boys, but yeah, you're right. So that one didn't make my list, but that is a great pick.
Yes, sir.
All right. I'll go next, Stu, and we'll end on you. Okay. My number 10 is probably going to be considered way too low to have at this list. But I'm going with Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man. And the reason he is so far down is for me personally. Yeah, I know. I told you it's really low. For me personally, I think Robert Downey Jr. is an amazing actor. And, he was born to play Tony Stark. But I also just feel like that is Robert Downey Jr. almost. It's like when you see Robert Downey Jr. in interviews and everything, he's Tony Stark. And so that was why I kind of struggled. I almost took him off the list for that reason and replaced him with somebody else. But I decided, you know what? You don't have the MCU really without Robert Downey Jr. So he needed to have a spot on the list. And so he's at my number 10.
Wow.
I get what you're saying. But the thing is, Tony Stark acts like that.
Right. No, I get it.
Like, it's not like Chris Pratt playing himself or Will Smith, early in his career where he, would just play himself.
Will Smith, yeah.
Like, Robert Downey Jr.'s personality and Tony Stark's personality happen to be the same.
Right.
And part of the reason why I guess he was born to play that role.
Right.
Yeah. But no, I get it though. I get it. My number 10 is a woman, and I struggled with this number 10. Because I wanted to switch her out for one of my honorable mentions, But I looked at some of my honorable mentions, and I figured, there have been other people to play this role, and for her, she is the only person to play this role in live action, and she 100% nailed it. Even if the movie that she's in, the movies that she's in aren't perfect, she is always a highlight of whatever movie she's in, and that is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
Yep. So I had Margot Robbie on my list for a while, and then I just kept thinking of other people, and she ended up getting knocked down to my honorable mentions. But yes, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, I agree. It was hard to not have her on the list because she is perfect as Harley Quinn. And I remember seeing The Wolf of Wall Street back in 2013 and thinking she would be amazing as Harley Quinn. And so then, when she got cast as Harley Quinn, I was super excited, and she's done a great job with the role.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
For sure.
I had always loved the idea before she, way before she got casted. This was when the Dark Knight trilogy was was still a thing. I had always had the idea of Jenna Malone being Harley Quinn.
That'd be interesting.
I could see that. I could definitely see that one.
Yeah.
My number 9 is Chris Evans as Captain America. Now, obviously, I put him on my list because overall, the overall arcing of the Infinity Saga, he became my favorite hero of the entire MCU, even over Iron Man. Obviously, to me, he has the best movies in the MCU, at least in my opinion. At least 2 of the best movies. And I feel like when you see Chris Evans as even someone as Johnny Storm, and then he plays Captain America, he's totally 2 different characters, but he nails both of them. Like, he can nail being Johnny Storm, and he also nails being Captain America, Steve Rogers. And he made the character cool, at least in my opinion, because everyone looks at Captain America in the comics. He doesn't look cool at all, but Chris Evans jumped into that role and made him awesome. So I had to put Chris Evans on my list, and I kind of hope he does come back as Cap, but obviously I think he's done. But
right, yeah. When he was first announced, I won't say I was against it, but I was just kind of like, really? Because he was great as Johnny Storm, but he was like the comedic relief. And and in other Chris Evans movies that I had seen, he was always kind of the comedic relief. And so I was kind of a fan of Captain America and didn't really want to see them take the character and turn him into comedic relief kind of, and that's what I was thinking. And also just, he'd already been Johnny Storm. I was like, what is with us casting all these people twice?
Yeah.
But then even with that first movie, I was sold. He is Captain America. Yeah. Like, he just is. I was totally turned around on it. I love him as Captain America. He was on my list for a while too. And he got bumped off as well. So that's an excellent choice. And I can't deny he's amazing as Captain America.
Great choice. He wasn't on my list, but that's a great choice. So I'm not mad at it.
No, yeah, can't be mad at that. Number 9 for me, I chose Tom Hardy as Bane in The Dark Knight Rises.
Good choice.
Yeah, I love Tom Hardy's performance in that movie. Bane is in my opinion, the most interesting character in that film, and you can't deny that Tom Hardy just made that character his own with the voice and the look and the everything, and the fact that he wears that coat in the comics now and everything. Like, it's just he just put his own stamp on that character, and just Bane was already a cool character, but Tom Hardy really knocked it out of the park in my opinion.
Nice. I agree with everything you said. He didn't make my top 10.
Yeah, me either. He's an honorable mention.
Yeah, he was definitely the most interesting part of the Dark Knight Rises. I loved his look. I loved the different accent that he had. He's Latino in the comics, but they gave him a British accent, and it worked for this version of the character. So I agree with everything you said. So yeah, good choice. Number 9 for me. He is not the first person to play this character, but he is unequivocally the best to play this character. This version of this character was actually modeled after him, and then he played him in the movie, and that is Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. Yeah, when we've all told this story, especially me and Alex. when he showed up at the end of Iron Man, I could not believe my eyes. I was like, they're actually doing this.
Yes.
And they actually got Sam Jackson to play Nick Fury. So like he almost didn't come back. It was a money issue.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah, he had showed up for that scene, and he almost didn't come back for Iron Man 2. They was trying to figure out some contracts and stuff.
Oh wow!
But I'm glad that they figured that out, and they got him for the long haul, because he nails it. I mean, he is Nick Fury,
and he's still around, and he's still around. It's crazy to think he's still around.
I remember. So I missed that opening, or that not opening credits, but
the post credit scene.
Post credit scene. Yeah. When I saw Iron Man in the theater, I left the theater during the credits and was standing around talking to people, and then heard everybody like clapping and cheering, and I was like, "What happened?" And then people came out, and I was like, "What happened at the end?" And they told me Nick Fury came out and said something about the Avengers Initiative, and I was like, "What?" So I very upset that I missed it. But I also remember Samuel L. Jackson, like around that time, or probably right before Iron Man 2 or something, talking about how he had signed a 9-movie deal with Marvel. And I remember thinking 9 movies. And now here we are, 33 movies down or 34 movies into the Marvel universe. And it doesn't seem so crazy anymore.
No.
But at the time, it seemed like such a crazy contract.
Yeah.
9-movie deal.
Yeah, I remember
that's a great choice.
I seen it on DVD. I didn't see it in theater, so I had the DVD for it.
Yeah.
And somehow we just I guess we were talking same issue. We were just talking, the credits were just rolling, and then we see him walk out. We say, wait. So there's a scene after this. Like, what's happening? And then of course, Nick Fury says it. And I remember looking at my little brother, I'm like, no way. There's no way. There's no way they're doing this. And I remember calling my uncle. And I was like, dude, did you just hear they're talking about Avengers? Like, they're talking about Avengers. And he's like, no. I'm like, yeah, watch Iron Man and watch all the way to the end credits. You'll see. So yeah, Nick Fury, that's a great choice.
That's awesome.
For sure. So, but I'm on number 8. My number 8.
Yep.
And maybe this is just because of recency bias. And of course, this actor is no longer with us. I'm kind of just gave it away. And that's Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. When he was cast as the character, obviously we haven't seen anything from him. I thought it was a perfect choice. Obviously he's done things like 42 and stuff like that. And I was thinking, he's going to be a perfect casting for this character. And of course he was. When he showed up in Civil War, I believed everything he was saying. I believed the accent. I believed everything he was doing in that film. And of course, obviously the Black Panther film, I love that movie. And I felt like he really embodied Wakanda and really embodied the T'Challa character. And I know I'm the one on the fence that say they should have recast him because I wanted to see more stories with this character. But I understand and I respect why they didn't replace him because of the tragic passing of him. But I believe he definitely deserves to be on the list. Even with a little screen time we got of him, he made a big impact on the superhero genre and on a lot of people's lives. So I had to put him on my list.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with everything you said.
Yeah, for sure.
I was trying to think. I think 42 came out before Civil War, right? So I think I saw 42 before I saw Civil War. And I remember when it was announced and I remember being very impressed with him in 42. And so then when it was announced that he was playing Black Panther, I was like,
yep,
perfect choice.
It was it had to be at a Comic-Con, I think, when they brought him out. Because I remember Chris Evans and Tony Stark came out and he walked out, and I guess he was like in between them. I think that was the panel, if I'm not mistaken, and they were kind of like giving his flowers, like, oh yeah, we're so happy to work with him and stuff like that. So I still remember that panel. Yeah, it had to be at a San Diego Comic-Con, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm sure it was.
It was.
Yeah.
Okay. I just like watched that clip a couple days ago. So yeah,
nice. My number 8 is very similar. In fact, I had a hard time choosing between Chadwick Boseman almost made it to this spot. And then I ultimately decided to go with Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger for my number 8.
Wow, that's funny. Ironic.
Michael B. Jordan is just an amazing actor, but he he just killed the role as Killmonger in that movie. He was just so incredible. And it's, and Chadwick Boseman was amazing in that movie too. And so he really held his own. I mean, to see the two of them in scenes together, it was just a masterclass of acting, in my opinion. Yes. So it was. So anyway, that's my choice. Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger.
I don't feel quite as strongly.
Yeah, it's funny because I remember when he was in the trailers and I did not buy it. I swear I did not. Yes, when he was cast as I wouldn't say he's a villain. I would say more of an antagonist because obviously he's doing terrible things, but you kind of believe what he's saying and stuff. Right.
Sympathetic.
Yeah. But when they announced him and his lines in the trailer, I just did not buy it. I said, no, I don't buy him being the antagonist. I just don't think it's going to work. And of course I watched the movie and I was not saying I was proved wrong. There's still certain things I really just don't believe. Yeah. He was good in the role. He definitely, kind of swayed me a little bit with his role.
I'm with Alex. He was good. Like, there's no doubt about that. But like, there were certain scenes where he was phenomenal, and then there were other scenes was like, nah. Like, I don't believe you.
Yep. Fair enough.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe it was because I was just so used to seeing him be the nice guy. That might have played a part in it. And when it got time for him to get, like nasty, like I said, some scenes he was phenomenal, but other scenes it felt like he was overdoing it to me. So, but he was still, overall he was still very, very good. So for my number 8, I so desperately wanted to put this person much higher. I really did.
Spit it out.
But I had to think about all the other people that I had on the list. This person is a villain. This is who I switched with my number 6. I didn't really have any thoughts about this actor when he got casted as the role, but when we saw him, not for the first time, but like in his full glory, I was like, nailed it.
I think I know you talking.
And personally, I think that this person is a villain, and as far as villains go, he's the best of the best, and it hurts me to have him this low. But that person is Josh Brolin as Thanos.
Yep, I knew it.
When we got a little taste of him in Guardians of the Galaxy, I was like, okay, all right, I can see it. But Infinity War nailed it. Like the thing is, he's playing it so different than in the comics and in animated series, but it's so. And me and Justin talk about this all the time. It's so truthful. You believe every word that comes out of his mouth. You sympathize with him, and I think the Russos and Stephen McFeely and who's the other writer?
Christopher Marcus.
Thank you. They made a great choice in making Infinity War his movie. He is the protagonist of that movie, and I thought it was brilliant. He knocked it out of the park. Like I said, he is one of the best when it comes to villains. He in my opinion, he is an all-time great villain. And there are only a handful of people above him, maybe like 4.
I agree.
Top 5.
He was originally on my list, and I took him off, and now you're making me start to regret that.
Yeah, I mean, you've already committed blasphemy by putting Robert Downey Jr. as your number 10.
Yeah,
that is blasphemous.
Yes, I agree. All right, so we're number 7. We have Chris Hemsworth as Thor Odinson. I put Chris Hemsworth on my list because, man, what I'm saying, he was another actor that was born to play this character. Another one that when you look at Thor in the comic, he doesn't look cool. He doesn't. I did not think it was going to work. when this movie was announced, because I knew he was one of the Avengers and I knew we were building to the Avengers. So I'm thinking, they actually have to adapt the Thor character. And I did not believe it was going to work. I'm like, we're not going to believe this. This is not going to be good. And I watched that first Thor movie, and Kenneth Branagh did an amazing job with that first Thor movie with selling Asgard.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, he doesn't get his flowers. He definitely deserves his flowers because he did a great job with that first Thor movie, because he had to make us believe that Asgard was a place, and he did. He made us believe it was a real place, that these characters actually existed in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and same with Chris Hemsworth. I feel like he really gave really great direction to him, and Chris Hemsworth really made me believe in Thor and this character actually being a person. So and obviously he's been great in all the other iterations. People obviously don't like him that much now. He's become like kind of the joke, but I have no issues with some of that.
Even Chris Hemsworth don't like him.
yeah. I mean, I feel like they've done it too long. Like, I think Thor Ragnarok should have just been his own thing. I love him in Infinity War. I feel like Infinity War is my favorite Thor. That's hands down. He's at top tier peak in Infinity War. His entrance into Wakanda, goated. Straight goated. As superhero entrances, that is straight goated. Every time I still watch it today, I still get the body pimples. Oh my goodness, every single time I see that scene. So I had to put him on the list. He definitely deserves his flowers, and I'm still loving that he's still here to play the character. So hopefully, he keeps playing it. I mean, he's a god, so he really doesn't age. So I mean, hopefully he can still keep playing him if he stays in shape and stuff. So yep, Chris Hemsworth is number 7.
I agree with most of what you said. He's not on my list. He's not even in my honorable mentions, unfortunately. But I do agree with everything you said, especially the way Kenneth Branagh handled the character, and he made him Shakespearean. Yes. I thought that was fantastic. Thor, like the first Thor movie, is not a perfect movie, but no. I agree with you. Kenneth Branagh does not get his flowers for handling Thor in such a believable way, and Chris Hemsworth just he owns the role and gives it his all in every movie.
Yes, he does.
Every single movie,
for sure.
Number 7 for me is Jackie Earle Haley as Rorschach from Watchmen.
I had a feeling that you were good. I thought about putting him in my honorable mentions too. He didn't make it. He didn't make it to my honorable mentions or my list, but I had a feeling you were gonna pick him.
Yep. Yeah, he was perfect in that role. He basically looked exactly like the character, how he looked on the page.
Yeah.
When he's not even, when he's not in the mask, obviously when he's wearing the mask, he does. But yeah, I love Jackie Earle Haley in that role, and he made it to my list. So I think he is fantastic, and I don't know what else to say. He is Rorschach in that movie. He did a fantastic job. So
my number 7, Justin's not gonna like me. I'm not even gonna waste time like doing a whole like intro
build up.
But I will say this: his portrayal of this character is the reason why superhero movies are made the way they are today. From that point on, he forever changed the genre, and that's Christopher Reeve as Superman. It hurt me to not put Henry Cavill on this list.
Right.
I agonized over it.
Yeah.
But what it came down to wasn't even Superman. It was Clark Kent. Yep. And I was like, Christopher Reeve nailed Superman and Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Henry Cavill, I like Henry Cavill's Clark Kent.
Right.
But as far as comic book accuracy and believability that these two people are completely different people, I gotta give it to Christopher Reeve. He nailed both perfectly. But it hurt to not put Henry Cavill on the list.
Same. Well,
I actually expected you to put Henry Cavill on the list. So
I know you did.
Yeah.
None of
we'll have more to say about Christopher Reeve.
None of them made my list. Christopher Reeve didn't even make my list.
Neither of them did?
Neither of them did. Neither of them did. They're in the honorable mentions, but they didn't make the top 10. Number 6. Yeah, this actor right here, I really debated on which one to put on the list, it came down to kind of the same thing what John said, how they played the character. And it's Ben Affleck as Batman / Bruce Wayne. And I thought about
my man.
that. I thought about that, how he plays both characters. He was amazing as Batman, but he was also great in his scenes as Bruce Wayne. I believed him as Bruce Wayne. I could see him as the animated series Bruce Wayne. If you really looked at him, like he's big, he's stocky. He has like she has the chin. Like he kind of has the whole package when it comes to playing Batman and Bruce Wayne.
Straight out of the comics. Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's where it came down to. I'm sorry, Christian Bale, you didn't make the list. Obviously, I couldn't put Robert Pattinson on the list because he didn't play. For one, he only has one movie. And I felt he didn't do both. Right. He didn't do both well. He didn't do Bruce Wayne well. He did Batman good, but he wasn't a good Bruce Wayne. And same with like Michael Keaton. I didn't put Michael Keaton on the list because I felt like his Bruce Wayne doesn't feel like Bruce Wayne. He's a good Batman, but to me, he's not a good Bruce Wayne. So that's where it came down to when it came to Ben Affleck. I believed him as both. And when you can make me believe me, you can be Bruce Wayne and Batman, you're definitely top tier for sure. So Ben Affleck had to make the list for sure.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's amazing to me that, I've seen people talk about how they don't like Ben Affleck as Batman. They didn't think he was good. And I just am like, what movie did you watch?
Yes.
Because even if you don't like Batman versus Superman or Zack Snyder's Justice League, like you cannot deny that Ben Affleck is so good as Batman.
He was kind of born to play the character. He was kind of born to play him. Like real talk, he was.
Yeah. I mean, I'm really sad that we didn't get a standalone Ben Affleck Batman movie.
Yeah, just more.
I really wish, or just that more of him. Yeah, exactly. But, but at least we got what we got, and I'm very thankful for it. And I mean, there are times where he does look exactly like the animated series Batman or Bruce Wayne really, but like it's perfect. It was perfect casting.
Yes.
Number 6 for me is an actor that I don't remember having any sort of feelings when he got cast. And in fact, it had been rumored that Sam Neill was going to play the character. And I thought Sam Neill was a really good choice. And so I might have been disappointed that they didn't go with Sam Neill. But this actor won me over once I saw the movie. And I love the way he plays it. And that's Alfred Molina as Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2.
Oh, wow.
I just loved his character arc. I loved his Otto Octavius in the beginning of the movie. I love his Doc Ock once he becomes the villain and everything. It's just, it's a perfect performance. And I originally had him a little bit further down on the list, and I ended up bumping him up because I love that performance so much. So
yeah, I wanted to put him on the list.
That's another honorable mention, but I was shuffling through mine. I'm like, I'm sorry, can't go in there. Same with Willem Dafoe. Like, I'm sorry, since we're talking about villains, he was shuffling through my mind, and I'm like, well, you got to go in honorable mentions, man, because this can't work, can't get on the list.
My number 6, we've already talked about him, Ben Affleck as Batman.
Oh, so we got the same number 6.
For all the reasons you said. Yeah, we got the same number 6.
Number 6. My guy.
Ben Affleck is the perfect comic book Batman. As far as you got different versions of Batman. You got the detective Batman. That's Robert Pattinson. Right. Absolutely nailed it. I don't quite agree with you on the Bruce Wayne. I don't think he was a bad Bruce Wayne. This Bruce Wayne was written to be that way. So I think he hasn't
developed his Bruce Wayne persona yet.
Yes.
Right. That's why I said now, he only had one movie. That's why I think with Ben Affleck we've seen him multiple times, and we got used to his Batman / Bruce Wayne. We've only seen him one time, so you're right. He can develop that persona within the future movies. So I could be wrong. Like, however long these movies come out, I could change my perspective on how I feel about him.
Yeah. And then Christian Bale is like the high tech Batman, almost like James Bondian,
Yeah, for sure.
But with Ben Affleck, again, he was ripped straight out of the animated series.
Yes.
straight out of the comic books, specifically Justice League comic books.
Yeah.
Ben Affleck's Batman is a perfect Batman to be in the Justice League. I do wish that we would have gotten a solo Batman movie from Ben Affleck. Yes. But I think his Batman works best as being part of the Justice League because I was looking at him. I'm like, this is the Bruce Timm version of Batman. This is that animated Justice League Unlimited animated series, new adventures of Batman and Robin. Batman, like that. This is him, like through and through. And I loved it. And the look, the stature, the way he acts is just everything. He nailed it. He nailed it.
Yeah, I remember the first photo we got of him, like the first photo we seen him next to, I don't know if it was the first photo, but we seen him next to the Batmobile. It was like, oh my God. Like we saw he was having the cow with the small ears, like, oh, they're nailing it. And then we see that first trailer, like we just see him like walking out from the rubble. Like, oh my God, like goodness gracious. Oh man. I still remember seeing that trailer for the first time. Like, he looks amazing. He looks amazing as Batman. Goodness gracious.
And he has the best bat suit of all time.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
Talking about the one at BVS, right?
Yep.
Yes. I agree.
Top five.
Top five. I felt like this one is kind of a no-brainer, and maybe this might be recency bias again, but I don't care. He was born to play this character. He's always wanted to play this character, and he finally did. And of course, that is Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. I knew that was coming. I feel like he has, and it's probably, like I said, maybe it's just recency bias. I just saw Deadpool Wolverine, but when you watch that first Deadpool and you see just those first couple moments of this character, Ryan Reynolds was really born to play this character. And now when I see him in a comic book, or even when I think about the video game, even though he's not voiced by Ryan Reynolds, I want him to be voiced by Ryan Reynolds.
His voice.
Like I kind of hate watching the gameplay footage from that Deadpool game that came out like years ago, and it's not Ryan Reynolds. Like it doesn't seem like it's not right.
It's Nolan North.
Yeah. I like Northern North, but I'm sorry, Ryan Reynolds. He nailed it as the character. He's perfect. So I had to put him on the list for sure.
Yo, that Deadpool game, I've never played it, but I've seen gameplay of it.
Mm-hmm.
That game is like an acid trip, bro. Like that is a crazy game.
Yes,
bro.
It is. I've seen gameplay footage too. I haven't played it. I've wanted to play it, especially after when the Deadpool movie came out. I wanted to buy it. I'm like, I want to play it to see how it is. And
you ain't gonna get it now. That game is so expensive, bro.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's one of those ones that's like highly expensive. Yeah.
Number 5 for me. All right. This one was one where when he was cast, I was thinking like, oh, they're going a different direction with this character. It's interesting. And I remember seeing the first trailer for this film, teaser trailer, and didn't think he was even in it. And some, like they showed a shot and I was like, that's not him. That's somebody else. And that's Colin Farrell as the Penguin from the Batman.
Wow, he made your list.
Wow.
You can't deny that performance is. I mean, you can't even tell that that's Colin Farrell.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's makeup, but it's like his performance sells it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. He is incredible in that role, and I cannot wait to watch the show that's coming out later this year.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Take it easy, sweetheart.
Yeah,
right. Exactly.
How you doing? I'm Oz.
So that first teaser came out, and it's they showed like the shot of him in the rain or whatever, and there's like a flash of lightning or something.
Yeah,
and then he was at the very end. This guy's crazy.
Yeah,
I had no idea that either of those shots were Colin Farrell, and people online were like, "That's Colin Farrell as the Penguin." I'm going, "No, it's not." I was like, "It's not. It's some other guy." Yeah.
It's time to watch the Batman.
I could not believe.
It's time to watch the Batman.
I could not believe that was Colin Farrell, and it's such a transformation. It's amazing, and I love it.
Just echoing everything you said. Great choice.
Yeah, he didn't make my list. But that's a great choice though.
He didn't make my list, but that's a good choice, man. Yo, I'm gonna have to go with Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin as my number 5.
Yeah.
I mean,
nice.
Yeah,
he does it, and what really did it was No Way Home, man.
It
No Way Home.
That was it, right for me. I was thinking about that to put him into my
No Way
10.
Home.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't even need the makeup. He didn't need a goblin makeup.
Right. That's it's nothing against the first Spider-Man movie, his first appearance, because his first appearance is great. He nails it in that movie. But seeing his face in No Way Home,
yes,
just took it to another level.
Yes,
it was, and I just he is other than this, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield coming back. He's the best part of that movie, hands down,
for sure,
down,
for sure. All right,
Norman's on sabbatical, honey.
I need to watch No Way Home again. It's been a while. I've been holding off on it. Yeah. I've been holding off on watching it, and of course I know we just passed like Spider-Man Day or something like that, and I wanted to watch it then. I'm like, no, how about I just build up to it? Let me watch like all the Spider-Man movies to lead up to No Way Home. Like, watch the Raimi, watch the Andrew Garfield one, and then get into Tom Holland and ended with No Way Home. So that's coming down the line for sure. But yeah, I just want, that's what made me.
I'm
waiting
put
until
we review Far From Home.
The one Spider-Man movie we haven't talked about yet. Well, we haven't talked about Across the Spider-Verse yet either. So we've got 2 Spider-Man movies, I guess.
So y'all have talked about No Way Home, but not Far From Home.
We have, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we talked about Homecoming and No Way Home. We just haven't done the second one. So.
But we did No Way Home when it came out.
Came out in theaters,
Okay, that makes sense. Or on my number 4, and it's someone we already talked about, but I felt like he had to be very high on the list because what you said earlier, he nailed it. He nailed this character. I was a fan of this actor before he was cast as his role, but this role right here made me at the top tier. So every time I see him, I think about this role. And of course, that is Josh Brolin as Thanos.
Yeah.
It's funny watching Dune. All I hear is Thanos the whole time listening to him in Dune. I'm like, that's Thanos. That's Thanos right there. I absolutely love this character. I have if you guys see behind me, you probably can't see me, but I got both giant Funko Pops. I have so many Funko Pops of this character because I think this was you talk about perfect casting. This was definitely a perfect casting. He made me believe
he got some of the best dialogue, bro.
Yes. He got some dialogue that make you want to think about life. Like, I swear, like, I be looking at like clips and stuff on Instagram, and they always put like, they jumble a whole bunch of lines of dialogue together, and most of his lines mostly get put in those videos because sometimes he be spitting some real stuff. He does. And like you said earlier, you kind of believe a lot of stuff that he's saying. He's kind of making sense. He's going about it the wrong way, but he's making sense, And like I said, he made us believe in a giant purple being. Like, he just made us believe he existed in our world. And I think about this shot, like when he's facing off with the Guardians, and like it really looks like it's a human being on screen. If you guys know the shot, like
I know exactly what shot you talk about.
The lighting is like on his face perfectly. It's like, wow.
You talking about when they're on Titan, right?
Yeah, no, not when they're on Titan. When they're on Nowhere. When they're on Nowhere, and it's already
Nowhere.
Been revealed.
Yeah, I know.
It's already been revealed that he took over everything and he's destroyed everything. And Peter Quill has to, shoot Gamora, and he's like, "Well, go ahead and do it. I'm ready for you." And just the way he looks is just incredible.
You know what it is, and you said it. The lighting, since the light is behind him. Yeah, it makes him look more cinematic and more realistic.
Yes.
And it doesn't, with the light being in front of him, it would kind of show like the imperfections in the CGI.
It'll make it look more CGI.
We don't see that, and we don't see that. We get the light behind him, and his face is a little bit shadowy.
It's incredible. Shout out to
he looks real.
Effects. Yeah, shout out to the visual effects on that.
Thanos is some of the best CGI that has ever been done in a movie for a singular character.
For sure.
Because the attention to detail, like you can see the hair on his arm
and on his chin.
You can see like the
little
pores on his skin in some scenes. Like the attention to detail is crazy, man.
I feel like Josh Brolin has to be on the list. Like I said, the small screen time we got of him, he made a major impact. And I do agree it was perfect to make him the protagonist. That Avengers Infinity War is his movie. It is. That's why I'm glad. Like there's certain posts where he's the biggest character. Obviously, he is the biggest character, but he's the main character in that movie. And it was a great choice. And Josh Brolin nailed it for sure.
I wonder if we're all going to have the same number one.
I feel like we will.
Number 4 for me, we've already talked about him a whole lot. So I'll just say who it is and then we can move on to Stu's number 4. And that is Ben Affleck as Batman.
Yes, sir.
Stu, you talked about how it hurt your heart to not have Henry Cavill on the list. It really hurt me to not put Michael Keaton on this list.
I expected Michael Keaton on your list. I did.
I expected Michael Keaton.
I originally had Michael Keaton until we came up with that rule, and then I had to decide which one to take off. And as much Michael Keaton wins for nostalgia, and I still think he's a great Batman, but Ben Affleck is Batman. I mean, he's just like for everything we talked about earlier, being ripped straight out of the comics, out of the animated series. He is Batman.
Even Kevin Conroy, who, and I'm going to speak for all of us and say that Kevin Conroy is the definitive Batman.
Yeah,
even
sure.
Kevin Conroy said that he is the perfectly balanced Batman. He does a great Batman and a great Bruce Wayne. If Kevin Conroy is saying that about you, like all the haters, all the haters can have a seat. You can have several seats
for sure,
and be quiet
for sure. Someone who's been voicing the character as long as I've been alive. Like, just think about that. He's been voicing Batman since I've been alive. So
number 4, we already talked about this person. I don't think it's recency bias. I think it's just common sense. Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. He was born to play this role. And you said something about the first Deadpool. Even before that, when we saw him in X-Men Origins Wolverine, he nailed it. He didn't have he was Deadpool. He didn't have the suit. He didn't have the scarring, but he was Deadpool already. Yes. And I loved it. He is one of, if not the best thing about that movie. Because that movie is not good. I remember when me and John were talking about it, and we pretty much felt the same about it. We felt pretty confident about the first half of that movie, and then at some point it just drives off a cliff.
We all probably know when it does it.
But yeah, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is fan-freaking-tastic.
For sure. So yeah, we're on my number 3, top three. My number 3 will be Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. I'm sorry. I think
this is also my number 3 as well. Okay, so we can talk about this together.
Yeah. I think with Deadpool and Wolverine, really, it solidified it. I don't believe whoever plays this character next. Wow, you got some shoes to fill, especially after Deadpool Wolverine, because of everything he did in this movie. I mean, we even got him crawling, we got him lunging, we got him like the different iterations of Wolverine in this movie. I guess we could talk about this since the movie just came out. You guys already did your review. All the different versions of Wolverine we got in that movie, and it was Hugh Jackman in those different costumes, those different looks, and he looks perfect in those other iterations. So I just feel like he had to be on this list, playing this character for 25 years. It's insane that we didn't believe that he was going to be a great Wolverine. And now he's the only one we can see playing this character. Hugh Jackman, you're a gold mine.
Yeah. I mean, I would just be echoing everything you said. He was born to play the role. I'd never heard of him before 2000's X-Men, and he is Wolverine.
Yes.
Like you said, whenever they recast it, which I know they'll do, that person has some big shoes to fill, because we as a comic movie community, we're going to compare him to Hugh Jackman because Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. Yes. So yeah, it's
I've just figured something out. We're all going to have the same number 1. We're all going to have the same number 1.
Yeah.
Because Hugh Jackman is my number 3.
Nice.
And I struggled with this top 3. At one point, I had Hugh Jackman at number 1.
Yeah, same. Especially after Deadpool Wolverine. Like that kind of solidified him as one of the greatest comic book casting. Like the emotion and the anger and just the way he looks in the suit. So like, I know you guys have your issues. I know especially John has issues with the suit, but seeing it, and even with the mask and seeing it in motion with him fighting, I was like, wow, like, I don't care about his height. He looks incredible as this character.
Yeah, like I said, I never even noticed how short he was.
Yeah, exactly.
Until it was pointed out to me one day.
Exactly.
Right.
Because most of the time you see Wolverine, he's crouched like that, like you know what I'm saying? Like he's ready to lunge at you.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, and even in the cartoon, like even in the animated series, like when he's standing next to other people, it's not like they towering over him. They look generally the same height. So like I think people really nitpick when it comes to his height because, Hugh Jackman completely embodies that role. He is the only person to play that role in live action. He has played Wolverine for 24 years.
Yes.
When Logan came out and they were, when that was the definitive end to Logan, I shed a tear.
Yeah.
Because I grew up with that man being Wolverine from a child well into my adulthood. It wasn't like Michael Keaton. Like it was, don't get me wrong. Michael Keaton was your Batman, it was your Batman, Justin.
My Batman. Yeah.
But you didn't go into adulthood with Michael Keaton.
No, you're right.
And it warmed my heart to hear you say that you got it when I made that comparison. I was like, yes, like Hugh Jackman is that for me.
Yeah. I mean, I like to say the example, I kind of feel bad for the actor who has to play Harry Potter with Daniel Radcliffe, because I'm kind of the same way, where I technically grew up with Daniel Radcliffe, like as that character, as Harry Potter. So the next person who has to play that character in the show, for me, you got some shoes to fill, because that's all who I see as that character, because technically I grew up with him. And same with Hugh Jackman. I was 7 years old when he was that character. Well, how old am I now? I'm 31. Yeah. Like, that's insane to think about.
and it's not even that. I mean, it is that we grew up with him, but it's also because they just nailed the role. Like we got lucky to have the first person to play this character in live action
and play it as well as he
completely
did.
Understand the assignment.
Yep.
100%.
Even when the movie was terrible.
Who just enjoys playing that character.
Yes.
Who is willing to come back for 10 movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just like unheard of, basically.
Even after he said he retired, he said, I'll do one more because I feel like this is worth it.
Right.
He called Ryan. It wasn't the other way around. He was like, I want to come back.
Right. Yep. All right. So we're on my number 2. Obviously, we've already talked about him already. And I feel like maybe me and John might have the same number 2. And it's Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. For all the things that John said
number 2 as well. So we're gonna knock this out.
He was born to play this character, and I understand what people say. Oh yeah, he's already like Robert Downey Jr. is already Tony Stark. But I believe that's what make the character works, is that he's already that character, so he can embody him more. I've seen his roles before he was Iron Man, and I can see that when he was cast, I'm like, oh yeah, that's an easy casting right there. But for him to play this character for as long as he did, and have so many different arcs and evolve as the character over these past 10 to 12 years, it's so I can't see no one else playing this character. So whoever plays Iron Man next, oh God, to you got some major shoes to fill as well.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Tony Stark's arc is hands down the best arc in the MCU. Not just because he's the face of the franchise, but they really understood what it took to make a genuine change within the character, him and Captain America, because Captain America is always, he's a soldier. He's looking for a fight. He wants someone to rescue. He wants someone to save. He's always on a mission. That's why he joined S.H.I.E.L.D., because when he wasn't Avenged, he had to do something. He can't sit still. And the end of his arc was finally letting go and just living a life.
What do you? And I went to go find that life. Tony told me to go get.
Yeah.
Went to go find that life.
And with Robert Downey Jr., he went from being selfish to completely selfless, and he's shown his selflessness time and time again in every Avenger movie.
Yes,
he is about to die.
Yeah,
he is like in every one.
It made me go back to the scene in Avengers where Captain America and Iron Man having that conversation. He's like, "You're not the one to make the final play. You're not the one to kind of make the sacrifice play." And
the lie detector test determined that was a lie.
You kind of was wrong, because at the end of Avengers,
he's always the one to lay his life on the line.
He's the one that almost died at the end of Avengers. So yeah.
So I mean, I know what your number 2 is going to be, Justin. So
it's not Robert Downey Jr.
It's not Robert Downey Jr. Number 2 for me, we've talked about him already. He's one of the greatest actors who ever lived. Christopher Reeve, Superman.
Yes.
That is my number 2.
Yes.
Shall we all say it together? Okay. Because we haven't mentioned this one person yet.
We got to do honorable mentions first.
Okay. Let's do honorable mentions first.
All right, let's do honorable mentions first. Go ahead, Alex.
So I got Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
Woo!
Yes, I had to throw him on there. Because he's incredible as Kingpin. I don't care what nobody said. You talking about perfect casting. He almost made the list. Like that first season of Daredevil. He almost
made my list.
The first season of Daredevil is incredible, and he's one of the reasons why it is incredible. I'm so excited they brought him back for the MCU, and I'm so excited to see what they do with him in Daredevil. It's so weird. I have no Spider-Man in my top 10. I was shuffling so much of putting a Spider-Man in my top 10, but my issues with that was with Andrew Garfield. I love him as Spider-Man. I don't really like him as much as Peter Parker. Tobey Maguire, he's a decent Spider-Man, but I think he lacks some of the stuff that I want in a Spider-Man. He was a good Peter Parker. They're all in my honorable mentions though. And same with Tom Holland. I feel like Tom Holland, he does embody both very well. It's just, I don't know. It's something about Tom Holland where it's like, it's something about him, but he is in my honorable mentions.
I know what it is. It's because he doesn't truly become Spider-Man until the end of No Way Home.
Yeah. Right, and we always say he's Iron Man Jr. He's not truly Spider-Man.
Right.
So that's what kind of falls him back on that. I put Charlie Cox on there as Daredevil. I feel like he is incredible as Daredevil. No one really gives him his credit. Yeah. He is amazing as Daredevil. Ian McKellen as Magneto. Patrick Stewart as Professor X. They were kind of born to play those characters. Didn't make my list. Professor X almost did, but I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't make it. Who else? Margot Robbie. Obviously, I said Henry Cavill, Christopher Reeves, both Batman, Michael Keaton. I feel like Val Kilmer doesn't get enough credit. He was good as well as Batman. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit either. And I think that's all I have on my list.
I'll go through mine pretty quickly. Because I could go on forever because there's just so many.
Like we all can go on forever. There was more. I was like, hold on, let me just not say anymore because you guys might say something I didn't say.
Right. I've got Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin on my list as well. I've got Michael Shannon as Zod.
Ooh,
Margot Robbie. I've got Chris Evans as Cap. I've got Jeffrey Wright and Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon.
I thought both of them were really good. I forget them. Goodness gracious. I forget Gary Oldman. Goodness gracious.
I've got John Schneider, Erica Durance, and Michael Rosenbaum, all from Smallville as Jonathan Kent, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor.
Nice.
They were all perfectly cast, in my opinion. Here's the one. So before we start recording, I said I've got one on my honorable mentions that I'm pretty sure neither of you have. And that is Patrick Warburton as the Tick.
Oh, yeah, of course not. Of course not.
I've also got Mark Strong as Sinestro. Terrible movie, but he was really good as Sinestro.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And then I've also got Carl Urban as Judge Dredd.
Ooh, good one. Good one. Yeah. I keep forgetting that's a comic book movie.
Mentions. All right, I'm gonna go through mine real quick. Tom Hardy as Bane. Michael Fassbender as young Magneto.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I forgot to mention. But that's why I said I didn't want to mention a whole bunch because I was going to say James McAvoy as well as young Professor X as well.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because these are honorable mentions, I put them both on here. Christian Bale and Robert Pattinson as Batman for the reasons that I stated earlier. Tom Hiddleston as Loki.
Yes.
He was on my list for a minute, and then I ended up taking him off. Yeah,
same.
Yeah. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin. I struggled so much with leaving him off the list.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason why I left him off the list is that because he is good, everybody else that I've mentioned on the list is iconic.
Right.
You cannot think of these characters without thinking of these people.
Right.
And I could not say that for Vincent D'Onofrio as like the masses. I could say that for myself.
Right.
But if you go to go anywhere down the street and you name the character, they're going to associate that character with these names. They may not do that with Vincent D'Onofrio. So I really struggle with that.
I can see that.
And Matt Ryan as Constantine.
That's a good choice.
Yes.
So are we gonna do like a drum roll? Because we obviously, again, we got to say number one.
The one character we haven't mentioned throughout this entire stream, which we all know is number one. I'm sorry, he is number one. Shall we all say it together?
He is number one.
And that's Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Ledger's Joker.
Like, that's number one, hands down. When he was cast as the character, I didn't like bat my eye like, oh my God, this is terrible. I didn't think I was old enough even to say things like that. Like, I'm a little kid when this movie is being announced. Like, I'm a teenager. I'm just excited to see another Batman movie. I don't care who plays the character. I just want to see another Batman movie. And it was seeing that teaser, hearing his voice, like when the bat signal is like exploding and stuff, and you hear him talking. I'm like, oh, I love his voice. And then you get that first teaser when you see him in the interrogation room, and I remember seeing him. I'm like, that doesn't look like Heath Ledger. Like, that's not the same guy from The Patriot. That's not the same guy from A Knight's Tale. That's not the same guy. And it was just those certain lines of dialogue, the certain, things we see him in those trailers that kind of sold me. And it made me so hyped to see him in this character and see him in the movie. And so far, I don't believe anyone else has done a better Joker other than Mark Hamill. But obviously, we're not talking about animated.
Right.
No one is better than Heath Ledger. I love Joaquin Phoenix, but I'm sorry, you're never going to touch the level that Heath Ledger went to go for this character. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, he's number one, hands down.
I remember where I was when it was announced. I was in my apartment because I was let's see if that was announced. I don't know when it was announced. If it was like the end of 2006, maybe when it was kind of announced or something. But anyway, I was in my apartment. And I guess I was listening to the radio when I was getting ready for work or something. And it was like the morning show. It was 99X, the morning show. And they announced that Heath Ledger had been cast as the Joker. And I remember my reaction. I wasn't against it, but I just was like, Heath Ledger? I just I couldn't see it. I was like, that's a weird choice. And then that first teaser that came out with the voice, and I was like, oh. And then they released a still image, which is like, it's the cover of the 4K, just that kind of that picture of him. And I was like, oh, I like this. And so, yeah, I do say, I forgot to mention Jack Nicholson would definitely be an honorable mention for me. Yes. I think his Joker is very good as well. But Heath Ledger, man, talk about iconic.
Yes.
I mean, come on. I was obsessed with that movie, but I was obsessed with Heath Ledger's performance. I was heartbroken when I heard the news that he had died that January, and seeing that movie, it made me even more sad that number one, it was tragic that he passed away, but also that like we were never going to get to see him play that role again. One of the things that I love that they did at the end of Dark Knight was they didn't kill him off. They wanted to use him again.
Yes.
And I wish we could have seen that. It's because I personally think he was 100% deserving of that Oscar.
Yes.
Even, whether it was, a lot of people would say they gave it to him because he died, which
no,
knowing the Academy is probably true.
Yeah.
But I think he 100% deserved it.
I feel like The Dark Knight deserved a lot more than just that award.
Well, The Dark Knight deserved a Best Picture nomination, and
exactly. It deserved
even
a lot
Steven
of
Spielberg
awards.
said that. Like, how did that not get nominated for Best Picture?
At that point, it make you want to leave the Academy for that one.
Angry with the Academy.
Make you want to leave the Academy for that one. Because I remember when I first saw The Dark Knight, and I didn't get the opportunity to see it in the theaters because my mom wasn't really taking us to theater like that. So I saw it illegally. I saw it on bootleg. And I remember when I watched it and I finished it, I rewatched it. Like I literally told everyone that I was in the house. I said, you guys might have to be quiet because I have to rewatch this movie again. It was that incredible. I said, I have to watch it again. I don't care what you guys say. I'm watching this again. And I remember when my mom bought me the DVD, I was kind of upset because she bought me the full screen version, but I didn't care. I still watched the heck out of that DVD. And I did the same thing. I got it for Christmas and I remember putting it on. And I watched it again. I literally watched it like back to back. And I'm like, this movie is incredible. Definitely in the top 10 of all time. And its performance helps that, the movie is so great, But go ahead, John. I've kind of talked over you. I know you ain't saying anything yet. So go ahead, John.
Where do I even begin? I feel like that meme is that dude just sitting in the chair like, I mean, Heath Ledger's Joker is not only an iconic comic book movie casting, but it's one of the greatest performances in the history of cinema. In the history of the craft, it's one of the greatest. Like, think about that. Movies are like 120 years old, and he has one of the greatest performances in all 120 some years.
Yeah. In a comic movie.
In a comic book movie.
Right.
I too was skeptical about Heath Ledger. And then that trailer came out with the voiceover, and I was like, he might actually nail this.
Right.
Not only did he nail it, he gave us a version of the Joker that we had never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
He has easily the most unique Joker we have ever seen and probably will ever see. His version of the Joker is calculating. He's scary. Like, he is so intimidating because he's so, obviously the Joker is unpredictable, but you really feel like Heath Ledger's Joker could kill you at any moment.
Yes.
I can't say that about any other Joker, even Jack Nicholson. And Jack Nicholson has a fantastic Joker, but Heath Ledger's Joker felt so real. It scared me. The scene where I felt a little bit of fear was the video.
Yeah, I was about to say the video
tape
where he captured the other guy that was portraying Batman.
Yes.
Yeah. This is how crazy Batman's made Gotham.
That felt
look at me.
Yeah, that was, oh my goodness. And he just, like, again, even like Thanos, iconic lines. Why so serious? Look at me. Like, it just,
everything burns.
Right.
You want to know how I got these scars?
How about I chop you up into little pieces and feed you to the pooches? Oh man. Like, I remember when they re-released the trilogy or re-released the first two movies when The Dark Knight Rises was coming out. Yeah. And every time he was on screen, people were cheering. Yes. I'll never forget when he first walked out and did the magic trick
the pencil
with
trick,
the pencil. people, pandemonium, man. Like people were going crazy. I'm like, dude, people were watching it like they were watching a rock star. Mm-hmm. It was a great experience. Like his Joker is the definition of iconic. He is legendary. That performance is legendary.
Yes, it's brilliant.
That's hard. That's hard to top, man.
Yeah,
that's hard to top. I honestly don't think there will never be another person to play Joker that well.
Yeah,
right.
I 100% and only do it in that one film. That's the thing too. He didn't get to play it multiple times. Yeah, he only got to play in that one thing.
He only had 40 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
That movie is 2.5 hours long, and he had 40 minutes of screen time.
Yeah,
there'll never be another one. Never.
Well, that was fun.
It was.
Yes, it was. When it's funny when you guys came to me with this topic, I was like, "Oh, this is different." Because I've been watching your guys' top 10s. Like I'm loving the directorial debut videos. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Watching these, thanks. Like I'm thinking, like this is so different. Even though I know you got the idea from another podcast, but it's so interesting hearing your guys' top 10 for directorial debuts. I'm watching. I'm like, "Oh, that's a great choice. That's a great choice. It's a great choice." I'm kind of trying to predict who you guys are going to pick. So I'm looking at the list as I'm watching the video, and like, oh, let's see who they pick this. They pick this person. If you guys are doing 2010s, it's going to be interesting watching that video too, because some interesting directorial debuts in that video too. But this was an awesome top 10 list to do for sure.
Yeah, all thanks to Simon for suggesting it, because I hadn't thought about this one. Yeah. Well, cool. We'd love to know what you think about our lists and who would make your top 10. Is Heath Ledger your number one? We'd love to hear from you. You can always comment at our website, cinemaheroes.com, or you can comment on our Instagram at cinemaheroes. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave your comment down below, give the video a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I think that about wraps it up for this episode, though. I'm Justin Speck.
I'm Jay Stu.
I'm Alex Thomas.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing.